Hey, how's it going, everyone?
What's going on?
Welcome back to the week leading up to Tokyo Game Show.
The road to the village continues, my
Yes,
friends.
Yes. Yesterday, you just watched our video about what is... Well, hopefully you watched our video. If you're stumbling upon this one first, go watch that one. But last time, we were here with our excitements for Resident Evil Village. And here, we want to talk about our worries. Anthony?
Worries.
Why don't you kick this one off?
So the first thing that, we actually, sat and discussed kind of what, the main stuff is that we really were worried about. So we had to think about this for a while. The first thing was for Resident Evil Village, having a removal of cutscenes or cinematics. The last time we saw any kind of cinematics in a Resident Evil game was Revelations 2. 7 had like in-game cutscenes, and we really hope that that's not the case with Village, but it may be the case. But we're really worried that we're not going to see those rich cutscenes that Capcom, even in RE6, the material might not always been the best, but those cutscenes were really well done when they were done right.
Yes, and we did see cutscenes in RE2 Remake and RE3 Remake, but we're not really discussing those. We're talking about like the main
games.
Not the remakes, just like the regular main games.
The remakes, we knew they were going to have to do that in cutscenes at this point. But because it's first person and now we're going into next gen on these SSDs and there's not as many load times, they're trying to really get that into our heads where it's like it's going to be seamless. There's going to be stuff just happening and it's not going to take you out of the experience. And we hope not, just because we're so used to cutscenes in our Resident Evil games. And
I wouldn't even say that. I'd say there's more reasons than that too, because like you got to think like, yeah, we're used to it, but also it's bad storytelling.
Right.
How you're as an author, like your author intention, right? Your director's intention, however you want to put it, right? When you design a cutscene and you're designing character dialogue, you're designing what's being shown, facial expressions, stuff like that, which Ethan has none.
No. He has hands.
Yeah, he has hands to jerk with.
But yeah, that's it.
It's like there's certain things that you're supposed to show your audience and you're supposed to let them experience and feel. Whenever you have cutscenes that are generated in real time and they're generated in the engine, you can miss stuff. You could not even be looking at somebody while they're talking to you and just completely just miss what's happening.
Or their audio like fades away while you turn away from them or something. You don't hear them.
Or their audio fade away because your 3D stereo imaging isn't working properly, which happens all the time with us, like when we play on the TV out there. Or, you're forced to make the player look at you and you take away their ability to control the camera anyway. So if that's the case, why not just cut away and have traditional cutscenes?
No, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with the immersion. Like the immersion in first person is fine. There is something that we personally have a problem with them wanting us to be the character.
Yeah.
And that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I don't want people to think that we, when we say cutscenes, obviously a definition of a cutscene could be a whole bunch of different things. You're cutting things together. Yeah, sure, in-game cutscenes are cutscenes too, but they're not the same, right? Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, it should really take an example from them because there are in-game cutscenes, in-engine cutscenes, and non-in-engine cutscenes. When you're following Ada or you're walking with Sherry and they're talking, that's an in-engine cutscene, right? That's a voice sequence. It might not be by definition, but that's what I'm considering one, right? In Resident Evil 7, you don't have cutaway cutscenes. You only have in-game engine stuff. I feel like it's a poor way of telling a story. We're not a character. We're not supposed to be a character that's us. I'm not making a Dark Souls character. I'm playing as a character with a first and last name in this universe who's supposed to have his own personality, his own relations, his own family, his own baby, his own fucking molded problem, his Chris Redfield's shooting his wife. He has his own problems.
Right. It's not us.
Not me.
Yeah.
It needs to stop trying to be me. That is my number one worry. Dustin's number one worry.
Yeah, I would say.
And it's probably your number one worry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it needs to stop being me. Resident Evil 7 has done a lot of good things. It did a lot of great things, okay? A lot of people on the channel think we hate Resident Evil 7, which is not the case.
Yeah, all the time.
It just wasn't perfect, and it was far from perfect. building upon what 7 did right, it needs to make adjustments to do this.
Yeah.
And we will revisit this topic later on in the week, because we do have a video coming out called The Essentials of what we want to see, what has to happen for LTRE to give our golden A rank or higher.
Stamp of approval.
Stamp of approval. There is essential things this game must do. Will probably be on there.
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the number one worry here at Let's Talk Resident Evil.
Yeah.
What would you say is our number 2 worry?
Number 2 worry kind of feeds into that a little bit, but Chris Redfield and Ethan
Chris.
Winters not having personality or being completely lifeless like how they were in RE7. And yeah, to that point, this kind of goes into the first fear a little bit. But yeah, Ethan being just the same as he was in RE7, not having a face, not having any emotion in his acting, like he actually poorly acted by the voice actor. And because why wouldn't you want to expand it when his wife's getting killed and his baby, like why wouldn't you want to show that person or show that individual have a personality? Like John said, it's not us that's supposed to be in this, it's Ethan. And with Chris as well, kind of going into the Chris Redfield discussion again, why would you want to make Chris not have any soul or representation of what he once was, even if he's older and darker, to show up in this game? I don't want it to be like he shows up so randomly to where we don't even really get an idea of how he is in this game. And Ethan, we're going to be with him most of the time, at least we think most of the game. And even if we switch off, it's like, why wouldn't you want it? It would just be a missed opportunity. It would be lazy. It would just be fucking lazy. Like to just have these 2 characters, especially Chris, not have
who's pre-existing lore, who completely is pre-existing, and Ethan too, who has pre-existing lore.
Yeah, now
because it's Resident Evil 7 sequel.
Exactly. Yeah. Dude, I don't know.
Big worry and big drip. Big drip.
I'm just scared. I'm just scared they're not going to do it right. With the
Chris better act like
Ethan.
himself, as we know him collectively. We said in the last video, that Chris, doesn't have like a great personality to begin with. He's very one-dimensional. But if he's going to be completely different this time, there's no reason for that, right? Like they need to show Chris as a collective, show all sides of his personality, much like Vendetta did.
Yeah.
Now, if he's going to be this broody anti-hero, if something happened which pissed him off, that's okay. We just need to know why, and we need to be able to believe it.
And we don't want to be told in that intro cutscene.
In a flash to a tombstone, like RE5.
Yeah, where it's like, hey, piece it together, guys.
Partner.
It's just like
my partner died a long time ago.
It's a real worry.
Why'd you say that name?
Don't say Valentine.
Why'd you say Martha?
Why'd you say partner?
Why'd you say partner?
Yeah, it's just like, because it seems like Ethan and Chris are the 2 biggest characters that we are going to see in this game that we know of already. That isn't already not like announced or going to be shown in Tokyo Game Show if there's another character that we know that's in there. So what's the next thing?
One of the only problems I have with Resident Evil 3 Remake was that it cut down the puzzles severely. Now, I did defend it. I did say it makes sense narratively why you wouldn't want to spend a lot of time as Jill running around the city solving puzzles to fucking escape, right? I get it, and I understand that narratively their decision to cut back on the puzzles makes sense. Doesn't mean I like it. I love puzzles in Resident Evil games. I think it's a staple. I think it's a must-have.
That's what we all love.
One of the things I really did like about Resident Evil 7 was the return of puzzles.
They were light.
I don't necessarily think all of the puzzles in 7 were great, like the birthday cake thing.
There's still more than 3.
They still have way more puzzles than 3.
Yeah.
And RE2 Remake's puzzles, I would say, were a little bit on the weaker end. They're very basic puzzles. It wasn't, not that they've ever been so complex that like they were hard to solve, but I really enjoy the puzzles that you had to figure out and go through in the original quadrilogy, 1 through Code Veronica. And I like RE4's puzzles a lot.
Yeah.
And RE6 has some pretty cool puzzles too. Not a lot because the game's more action oriented and the puzzles really only appear in Leon and Helena's and I believe Jake and Sherry's.
Well, that may be the case for this game.
that might be the case.
That's
and
why
that's
it's a
one
worry.
of my worries
Yeah.
is that they're going to cut back on the puzzles, because it does seem like, from what the demos were, what was reported on the demos and the playtest, the private playtest
stuff coming out.
It looks like it's going to be more action oriented, like Resident Evil 4
Dipping
was.
its toe in that water again.
But RE4 took a step away from action at times to be more mystery, to be more puzzles.
And that's when it worked.
And that's why it worked. And I personally, as you guys know, I've talked about this in the past, I'm working on a video talking about Resident Evil 4 and whether or not it kept the spirit of the originals, because that's a very contentious topic in the community. People say RE4 was the downfall.
Right.
People say RE4 was the savior. I don't really think it was either of those things, and I think it's important to kind of look at that. So this is going to be a telling sign for not only RE4, because it's taking a lot of liberties from RE4 as it seems. It's also probably building the backbone for Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah, that's
so
gonna
what
be
we
shaping.
see in
Right.
Resident Evil 8 is probably going to dictate kind of the things we see in Resident Evil 4.
It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
And the systems that were present in RE2 and 3 Remake and 7 will work their way into 8, because they're all in the same engine, which is great because the engine looks fantastic. That's one thing I will say about 7, other than VR, which understandably so, because not really any game looks great in VR. It did have to take, a lot to work on that engine and to get those games as good as they do look.
Yeah, and the RE engines only look better with
It's
each,
only looked better with
each
game.
game. Yeah,
With
so
each game,
it's
100%.
It's been great.
So that's my worry. My third worry would be puzzles. I want them in the game. Please don't cut them.
Yeah, don't cut them and keep
Especially
that
in a
horror.
medieval setting. There's so many things you could do, like
know.
the sword in the Iron Maiden in Code Veronica, and lighting torches, and like that would be awesome if we could get some of those puzzles back. And there are rumors of stealth in the game, which we didn't include in the worries because it's not like a major worry. It's more of a minor worry.
We even talked about that on like the August leak video.
Yeah, on the
where
August
it's like
leak
it's not
video.
going to be the end all be all. We just
It's not
going to
make or break the game.
Yeah, we just don't want to see it like in the way that we kind of saw it.
Yeah,
know?
I'd like to see puzzles during that segment as well. You have to avoid people while solving puzzles. That would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, just to switch it up a little bit. The next thing we have on the list is
It's something you're very passionate about.
I'm very passionate about since day one of RE7's release is get rid of the story DLC. I don't give a fuck if, you have to put it through, a paywall or make it free. Don't do it at all because I think it's stupid. Make it all in the story, because the banned footage and the End of Zoe DLC, it wasn't even good, number one. And then when we got Not a Hero, it wasn't good either. And so stop doing it. Like, get out of that mindset, because that is a big worry for me, because games do this now in 2020. We know this. We've seen this. We've seen companies do this.
Plenty of
times, and it's
including companies that have no
catastrophe.
business doing it, like NBA games.
Yeah, NBA Casino and all that. And it's like, but with this, not even microtransactions, just story-based stuff.
Yeah,
It's
story-based
so
stuff.
stupid.
Does
It's
not belong
so
in a
dumb.
paywall.
No, and
Content that is important to the main canon of your franchise belongs on the disc or as free download.
Yeah, and if you do it and someone pays, the most expensive edition, give them the token, give them the code. Don't let someone get the biggest collector's edition, which people did for 7, including myself, and you have to, make us pay about $50 to $60 to get all the, because it was like $25 a pop or something like that for each DLC.
Now the last one was free because they did put out, but they weren't planning on that being free.
I don't think so.
They were going to charge for that.
I don't know. I think they made it seem like it was going to be free, and then they delayed it. I don't fucking know. Regardless, it was shitty, and it didn't expand Chris's character at all, and it made him seem like a dick, and didn't really help. And Chris Redfield was lifeless in that game. So I don't want to see the story DLC. We don't want to see it. It's just get it out of here. And
DLC
give us
should only be fun, extra stuff.
Yeah, just like it's one thing if they're like, all right, we're going to put in mercenaries mode, or we're going to put in this. Okay, whatever. You give us a choice. But story, like actual like characters and stuff that we know that's canon, because the stuff in the RE7 DLC was canon. It was actually canonical to the story. What the fuck? Why is that a paywall? Don't do it. That's a big worry for me and Capcom. They didn't do it for 2 and 3, like as far as story, but that doesn't mean they won't do it for a main game.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm scared. Hopefully not. Fingers are crossed. Not a fan of it.
Yeah. And then our final worry, which we think is something that should be talked about, is definitely the fact that we're really hoping the game doesn't have an underwhelming ending and feeling lifeless. Like a Chris being dead for no reason, characters being dead for no reason. You go through the whole thing for a tragic ending that doesn't make sense.
Or it suddenly ends and you're like, what the fuck was that? Or it suddenly ends
and it's like continue in the DLC, right? Or
Right.
it's open-ended. Like a lot of open-ended games, like Resident Evil ends a lot of the time open-ended. The original 4 didn't.
No.
They ended with a resolution, then open-ended. 4 didn't. You know, they have the final boss and everything where things like that happen. And the mainline games do a good job of wrapping things up, right? And the mainline games always have an ending. But a lot of these spin-offs do not. And this game being something that is supposedly born from Revelations 2, or it was supposed to be Revelations 3, potential carryovers of storylines and stuff. Revelations games and other spin-off games typically do have open endings or things that aren't resolved, plots that aren't tied up.
Like the ending shot
or
in Revelations 2.
Revelations 2, or even in RE3, what happened to Nikolai? Like, there's a lot of open-ended questions that never get answered. And sometimes that's a good thing because then your franchise can build upon them in the future. But if this game is advertising itself as the end of someone's story.
Yeah, the end of someone's story. Yeah, the final, this is like it. Like,
no more questions. Wrap it up neatly, wrap it up cleanly. Whoever that is, whether it's Chris, Ethan, whoever.
Because we don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
Who that person is.
We think it's Chris. I think it's Chris.
Yeah, we both think it's Chris.
Yeah, I think we all think it's Chris in LTRE. But I just think that it's one of those things like...
You can't punch us in the gut, man.
Don't be underwhelming. Make it make sense. Make it be emotional. Please, for the love of God, show us cutscenes. Those are our worries, guys.
Yeah, that's it.
What are your worries?
Let us know in the comments below.
And don't forget to smash that like button.
Hit the thumbs up.
And hit that thumbs up.
Thank
you so much for watching.
Bye-bye.
Peace. This video was brought to you by our supporters over on Patreon, where users like Damian Poe make it possible to keep on delivering awesome content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like Barry dropped the rope.
How I've done it.
And consider hitting subscribe for more Resident Evil content. Don't forget to join our Discord in the link down below. And you can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.